Aries, this is your reading for this full moon in Virgo, which happens on the 6th, 7th of March, literally a day away here in Aotearoa. So we've got some cards here. We do go through and clarify if you haven't tuned in before. And thanks for joining me. And if you have, you'll know we go through and clarify with a few different decks. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because these are very general readings. So we're coming out here, Aries, with a wonderful card of speed. And I mean, you must look around at the moment and think, wow, yeah, things really feel like they're speeding up. And it's just a constant, upping of that speed at the moment. The 8 of Wands is about clear, swift communication, immediate communication. I see it actually within these cards for you, Aries, as a kind of inside job in some ways. So we're talking in an internet and in a net with that 8 of Wands called Swiftness in the Thoth deck. It's coming in very fast, I think, for some of you on your inner net. We have the High Priestess here. We see the veil. We move beyond that. That's where a lot of information lies for us. It can be as simple as connecting dots, the dots about where we're at, about where we're really at, like on an internal, psychological and emotional level. We've got the 5 of Discs, a card which has been coming up in a lot of these readings, a card of lack. You will probably, if you're watching and are familiar, obviously, with tarot, you would be if you are watching, that in some decks we see the figures outside in the cold when they could be inside in the warm. This is about a mindset of lack. We see it in the Thoth deck. It's called worry, and it's as if we've got the weight of time. But this, to me always looks like the mechanism on a clock. There's something about time in here, because there's a speed, but there's been sort of anchored by some mindset from the past. I do see it as that in terms of the decisions that we make. Aries here, maybe we glean a new understanding of that. I would suggest that of that position of that 5 of Discs, choosing lack over gain, I would suggest so with the sun coming out so beautifully there at the end. But let's go through and clarify. Of course, the sun's always represents that life-giving force, vitality, fun, reciprocal balance. We've just had that 2 of Cups coming out, which I'll put up there by the sun. That's a beautiful card and one of the most balanced cards, actually. I'll just have a wee drink. One of the most balanced cards in tarot. So let's look at swiftness. It's a fiery speed. We've got the Knight of Wands, who kept coming up in the new moon, and Pisces readings as well. If I didn't say so before, the collective reading for this full moon in Virgo is up there if you choose to have a wee look. It's an interesting reading that seemed to be about maybe tweaking or course direction, redirection, shifting things, perfecting things a little bit. The illumination of this Virgo full moon allows us to see, maybe not alter those intentions we made at the new moon, but to maybe shift our the tools that we use to get to those intentions coming into form, if that makes sense. Six of Swords. Much calmer sea to be travelling on, but more importantly, a calmer place to be psychologically. This appears to be a message that's coming through for some Arians on an internal level, as I said, through the inner net. A new insight into what possibly were sort of impulsive or maybe more compulsive thought patterns that you're gaining a level of understanding and insight. It's really lovely. Let's look at the High Priestess. Got probably a few too many. Insight. What was I saying? Inner net insight. Doesn't have a wrinkle happening on it. It's quite a grey day here, so I've had to put this light, shine it right on my face. Two. The Priestess, the High Priestess. So we're looking at that internal understanding, which is potentially new for your Aries in relation to maybe something, the impulsivity of the Aryan native or the compulsive aspects that may exist within you. We have again the Eight of Wands. Yes, to confirm. To me, that says yes. It's not the internet messages coming through. It's messages coming through more so from the divine, from the internet. We've got the Five of Swords, fives all being lessons to a certain degree that we learn from and therefore overcome or move on, from that point. Taking credit where credit is not due, or we let ourselves down in this card. There might be some Aries out there that feel like they've either been let down or they've let themselves down. And then we've got the Nine of Wands, the wounded warrior. What's driving our directives? Is it quite pure in the sense that it's not really driven by anyone else or because of something that's happened in the past? We need to be very aware of that. I think you're getting some sort of insight into this, whatever it happens to be, whether it's something in relation to something that you've been driving here or someone else in your life, someone or some other situation. Anyway, so let's have a look. We've got this Five of Discs. I do see it as some information coming to you, for you, from you. If that makes sense. From your internal High Priestess. Five of Discs is on its way out. Lack mentality, victim mentality. We all have it as humans. We all have that common archetype. Death card has been coming out literally in every reading throughout these full moon and Virgo readings, and if you so go along with that past life thing or whatever, check out the Scorpio reading because there's something about honouring, healing, ancestral wounding. And there's something within this Five of Discs that speaks of that. And it does a little bit within this reading, Aries. So if you are interested in that angle on it, check out that Scorpio reading too. So there's a big transformation here in the way that you I don't know. It's like that thing sometimes that that something just sort of random happens and it's unexpected, and it's kind of like a little doorway that opens, and all these other things come through with it that you'd never thought of before. It's interesting. So we're looking at the Sun here. We did have the Two of Cups, beautiful card, equilibrium. This is wonderful. Overcoming, listening to your internal voice, your internal guidance, and it's high level stuff, Aries. We come to a point of transformation. We then have the Sun, beautiful. We are not in defense mode anymore, or you know what I'm saying? We can be reciprocal in our, not only in receiving, but giving. Reception is as important as being able to give. We then have the Four of Wands, the happy home, the place where you belong, somewhere within here. You know your place. You know where your place is to stand, where your home is, where you belong, where you belong. And with that, we had the 8, another 8. All 8s are about the mind, really. The 8 of Cups, we make a choice to be quite objective, not disconnected from our emotions, but we could put a buffer between ourselves and the rest of the world, or the rest of our environment, whatever, to allow a level of objectivity, which is not a bad thing at all. Sometimes it's a saving grace. Let's get some Brian Froud. Fixing Fairy card. Beautiful. There's a lot of vital life force flowing through Aries. This is feeling love, and in a very expansive form. Something occurs here. It's like a kind of, honestly, Aries, it could literally like a kind of, I'm not going to say religious experience, because I don't mean that, but there's kind of like an epiphany moment is the way of putting it. And this epiphany moment in the process of understanding the wounded warrior, the 5 of Swords, the impulsive and more so compulsive aspects of fire, this transformation, understanding our own archetype of this lack mentality, understanding that, overcoming it, letting it go. We experience this really high emotional moment or time, and with that, to Byra of the Waters, comes a huge level of healing, of really this immersion. It's and what we can contain. Maybe our emotional container becomes more expansive, Aries, Excuse me. And we'll just get a Brian Froud for that. I'm interested in that 8 of Cups, because you've got, sometimes we say, well, the 8 of Cups, we go looking for our 2, but you've already got 2. You know what I mean? So you got 10. On and off. Is there a level of indecision somewhere in here until this sort of confirmation of information that is on your own inner net? Because we've got on-off energy. We've also got the fairy godmother looking after you, Aries, which is quite amazing. Let us see. And at the end of all of this is treasure, is the beautiful golden egg. Well protected. It's a beautiful image. I love that. And it's this wheat, and then you've got like a wee peephole at the top. We get a bird's eye view. On that note, Aries. Excuse me. On that note, I hope you got something from this reading. Do check out any other readings whose title grabs your eye. And as in that golden egg, it does remind me of a peephole, doesn't it? A little peephole. Take good care over the full moon in Virgo. Enjoy the rest of the week. And thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing, even just commenting. It's all good stuff. Thanks for that, Aries. Ka kite, bye.